You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're going to be talking about freeing yourself. We've all been in times in our life where we felt stuck, trapped, in a prison. Maybe it's in our mind, maybe it's a true prison. The thing is you want to get out, you want to be free so you can live your life full out. So we're going to be talking about how you can do that. And a lot of times that starts from within. And then from there, being able to tap into resources and people to help guide us along. Also, we're going to be joined in our next segment by our inspirational guest, Magda Brown, who's going to be talking about how she survived the Holocaust. And honestly, the tragedy, the distance, all the trauma that she went through in terms of trying to get to that survival state and then being rescued. It's such an amazing story. You don't want to miss it. Also, if you want to hear today's show again, make sure you go to livingfullout.com and all the episodes are waiting there for you. Or you can go to Alexa if you have that and hear our show, or the app stores if you're on the go and you want to stay motivated. Also, we'd love to hear from you. If you have an inspirational story that you'd like to share with our audience, or if you need resources on today's topic, reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com, and we'll make sure that you get the support that you need. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go ahead and say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, thank you for calling in. How can I help you today?
So, sometimes I feel like I have been spending so much time and effort on all that I have going on in my life between like schoolwork, extracurriculars, and I have multiple jobs, and I feel like I'm falling behind in my social life. So I was wondering how I can make sure that I'm making enough time for friends and fun while still staying on top of my responsibilities.
Oh, I love that you're asking this question, because you need to free yourself from all your commitments, right? You need to find that free time. The thing is what you want to do is get really good at scheduling, which it sounds like you have so many things that you juggle, that you are, but you want to make sure to also schedule in connecting with friends and family and really holding that to that commitment as if you were getting paid for that time. And what I mean by that is it could be a face-to-face, could be a lunch, could be going for a walk, or it could just be on the phone and really budget it out. I'm going to take 15 minutes to talk to so-and-so. I'm going to, talk to my sister for 30 minutes, maybe an hour. If you schedule that time and protect it, again, give it value as if you are making money over that time, then you're not going to feel as though you're missing out, because you will have built in that social time into your schedule. Also, if you don't hold to those commitments, just like with anything, right? If we're trying to work out, if we're trying to achieve any sort of goal, if we don't hold to our promise, what is the consequence, right? A lot of times when it comes to social life, sometimes we'll think, we'll make a commitment, we're going to go to lunch, and then if you get busy, you cancel it. But you don't want to cancel it. You need to have some sort of a consequence to canceling it. What does that look like? So now if you were just giving that person 15 minutes for a phone call, the consequence is now you've upped it to 30 minutes, right? If you were going to do a 30-minute phone call, if you don't make that 30-minute phone call, now the consequence is you got to dedicate an hour in person, right? Because we want to make sure that we don't cancel on people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the biggest thing is just letting people know where you're at, that you miss them. I think it's that kind of heart to heart, because others might say, gosh, I haven't talked to her in a long time, or gosh, does she ever think of me? But if you say to them, oh, I am so busy, but you know what? I literally think of you every day. And I want to text you or I want to call you, but I know that you're at work or you're in class. But I just want you to know I think about you all the time. That will go a long way in just letting them know that. Or if you know that you can't quite commit to a face-to-face or a blocked out phone call, just sending somebody a little bit of an email or a text saying you're thinking about them, I'm proud of you, hang in there, that will go a long way. Are those some things you can try?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for calling in, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. And I love that she asked that question, right? Because sometimes we're so glued to our schedule, we're not free to have a good time. And we need that social time, because that's how we get back to being who we are at our core, our personality. We can be silly, we can vent. So make sure that we do reserve that personal time, that social time in our schedules. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have another caller in the line. I'm going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for calling. How can we help you?
Hi, I was really stressed out lately because I'm living on my own, and I don't want to rely on my family because I know they have their own things to worry about. And it's really hard because I'm trying to balance work and school. I was just wondering, how can I make what I'm doing now feel more accomplishing and then make my life feel better, I guess?
You know what? I think it's great that you're asking this question. I'm going to raise my hand because I've been there with you, and I'm so sure others in our audience have been too, right? You feel like you're going, but you're not sure how it's all going to work out. It's scary. The what ifs, right? What if I don't have enough money for rent? What if I can't pay my bills? Do you have those?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, right. I said, we've all been there. But the thing is, what I want you to understand is those are real concerns. Okay, they're valid, right? Because we do need money to pay the bills. But those voices in our head, they're always going to be negative in a situation like that. And you need to find some way to quiet those voices. It may be that you turn to a friend and confide in them about your concerns, just, in a financial crunch. Obviously, calling into the show today, that's a start. And also, it may be that you want to figure out, other resources that you can turn to bring in more money or to give yourself more time. And that's what's going to have to be discovered on your end, because if it's more money, we don't always have more time. We can't work 5 jobs, right? We have to sleep. We have to do self-care. But what we can do is work not from a place of desperation, but work from a place of productivity. And I love that you mentioned that at the beginning of the call. You said, how can I be more productive? So what I want you to think about is maybe make a list for yourself. What are the requirements, the commitments, the bills, all the things that you have to do? And then you want to take each of those have to do's, and you want to almost make like a diagram, and you want to think of all the ways that you can relieve that stress, that pain. So if it's a bill, let's say it's a credit card bill, one way would be calling the credit card company and seeing if you could lower your rate, or seeing if they have a payment plan, or seeing if there is some way that you can, transfer it into another card that has, no interest. Okay, that's one method. Just think of everything that you can do to relieve that stress. Let's say another stress might be that you don't get enough sleep. Then you want to think of the ways in which you can reorganize your schedule so you can budget in more sleep time, or maybe a nap at certain times in the day. What would you say is the biggest stress that you face?
I'm not sure. When you said sleep, that was really true because I haven't been sleeping really well. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I guess it would be just going through life and not knowing what I'm doing.
But you know what, though? That's, in some ways, as scary as that is, that's exciting, right? Because what if somebody gave you a plan and they treated you like a robot? Today you're going to do this, then you're going to do this, tomorrow you're doing that, and you had no control. That would not be very freeing, right? Today we're talking about freeing yourself, right?
Right.
As scary as the unknown is, there's freedom in that, because you can self-correct, you can make adjustments anytime you want. You can let go of commitments, you can take on more, right? That's all in your control. So what I want you to do is, I want you to think about today what it is that you need to do just for today and maybe a prep of tomorrow. And I want you to let go of the stresses of next week. And just be more in the moment if you can, okay? But I really thank you for calling in, and we'll be sending positive wishes your way because I feel you. I have been there, okay? But thank you for calling in. Have a great day. Bye-bye. And for everybody listening, we are talking today about freeing yourself. So how do you do that? Well, call into the show, but also let's get you the resources. Let's get you the support that you need so you don't feel alone, because that's half of the battle. We feel alone. We feel like no one has our same pressures, but you know what? Others will get it. It may not be the same situation, but they will be there for you. You just have to ask for help. So stay with us. It's all about freeing yourself today. We're going to be coming back with our inspirational guest, Magna Brown. We'll be right back after this break. It's Living Full Out. I'm Nancy Solari. Stay with us.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about freeing yourself. And our inspiration guest today truly knows the meaning behind freedom because it was taken away from her. I'd like to introduce today Magna Brown, who is a survivor of the Holocaust, and she's going to take us on her journey, and there's so much to cover. So I'd very much like to welcome Magna to the show.
Well, good afternoon.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
Magna, I just want our audience to understand that I know today you're 91 and a half young, but I appreciate...
That is well put. Yes, ma'am.
But I appreciate that you are sharing with us really what you went through, and the tragedy and the heartbreak of the Holocaust can really only be shared from someone who lived it, who survived it. And so we're so glad that we have you here today to share with us your accounts of that. And I want to start today with, I know it was when you were 17 that you and your parents were separated. And can you explain to our audience just in a little bit here, when they separated you and you were taken to your first camp, what was that like? What did they do in terms of the process of breaking you down? I know you felt like a robot almost.
Well, pretty much. Well, let me say it as briefly as I possibly can.
Sure.
The Holocaust in Hungary, as far as the Nazi regime, came in the spring of 1944. And within about 6 weeks' time, they put us in railroad cars and shipped us to Auschwitz in Poland, to a concentration camp. Once we arrived there, they separated the men to a separate column, and that's the last time I saw my father or any other male relatives. And then my mother and I and other women and children were lined up, and now came another separation. And my mother, who was an exceptionally young-looking 42-year-old, was separated from me. So I turned to her and I said, "Mother, I see you later." Unfortunately, later never came. So when I was there for about a couple of days, I was asking the old-timers, "Could you please tell me how soon we're going to see the people who were separated from us?" And the old-timers raised their arms and pointed to the 5 chimneys of the crematorium. And they said, "That is where your parents are." I could not comprehend what they were saying. We are in the 20th century. We are living in a modern era. How can something like this happen? Unfortunately, as time went on, I had to realize the truth. Now, I remember I told you I was 17 years old when they were taking me out of my home. Now, 17-year-old is a teenager. I grew up in a happy-go religious family. I was the youngest in the family. I was spoiled rotten. So nevertheless, I am all alone now and have to make decisions whether they're good or bad and follow the brutal orders that was given to us. So these were the beginning of the Nazi era as far as my life goes.
Well, and again, it breaks my heart to know that you went through that. I mean, a 17-year-old is generally getting their license, experiencing dating, learning, and here you were. I know that when you got to the camp, there was a process that they took you through where you almost felt like a prisoner the way they treated you. Can you share that with us?
Well, it does not almost feel like a prisoner. We were treated worse than prisoners. And as time went on, I found out that many of the Nazi women guards were formerly prison guards in regular prisons. So they were trained to treat the killer and the robber and whatever form they were imprisoned the way they do. Now, we were innocent young kids, and we were treated just like that or even worse. It is a very difficult, very painful thing, A, to be alone, and B, to be treated and ordered, commanded to do things that I have never done before.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a great believer that there are more good people than bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why. Because there were 3 sisters from my home community who were older than I, and they kind of started mentoring me. Mm-hmm. So they watched out for me. They took care of me. As a matter of fact, at one time when I was in the bed in the quarters, sitting on my bunk bed, I started crying. And they said, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "I am so hungry that I can't see straight. I want you to know that these 3 girls took their crust of bread that they were saving for the next morning in case they don't get any breakfast, and they shared that with me. And to me, that's true giving and sharing and caring."
Wow. I mean, that's a great definition of love and experiencing that. And I in a bit here, we're going to have to go to a commercial break, but I just wanted to ask you, when you would look at the wired fences, when you would see the guards, did you have hope in your heart that you would still get out of there? Or were you starting to lose hope?
Well, I have to give you a kind of a lopsided answer.
Okay.
God blessed me with a very positive attitude. And I always believe that you have to have faith, fantasy, courage, determination, and hope that tomorrow will be better. And with that way of living, I was hoping that tomorrow will be better. Getting used to losing my parents, I never got over that. I would lie if I told you that nobody, even under other circumstances, losing a parent will stay with you forever. So, but otherwise, it was hardship for a teenager. Look, they put me to work in an ammunition factory, exceptionally hard labor. I was a school kid. I have never seen a factory before. I have never been in a factory, let alone work there. But you'd be surprised when you are forced to do something, you learn very, very fast. And that's how it went.
Yeah, and the factory is another part of your story that I just want everybody to really understand. When she was at these factories, she's dealing with toxic chemicals, putting them in bombs. I mean, your hair was turning orange, your skin was turning yellow. And I really want to, when we come back, Magna, I want to pick the story up there because that's kind of where the road to either your passing of your life was going to happen or you were going to be saved. And so I want to keep our listeners going down the journey of your life. So stay with us. And everybody, as we hear Magna's story and she talks about freeing herself, going to a place of fantasy, having faith, being determined, those are the qualities that we need within us to free ourselves from the physical pain or, in her case, hunger or, being separated from her family. But we do have the ability to live full out. We do have the ability to not let those qualities be taken from us. We'll be right back after this break. It's all about living full out by freeing yourself. We'll be right back. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about freeing yourself so that you can get rid of the burdens, the stresses, the tragedies, the pain, and allow yourself to be free and to step into the life that you want to have. And our inspirational guest today, Magna Brown, did exactly that. There were so many reasons for why she could have given up in life. She could have said, I give up, I surrender, it's over. But she didn't. She had the determination, the vigor, the courage to keep marching forward and to reclaim her life. So I'd like to welcome Magna back to the show.
Thank you.
Hi. So
Hi.
You're I so value and appreciate that you're sharing with us, your experience of really surviving
I
the
feel
Holocaust.
honored to be invited.
Oh, Magna, you have so many friends in this community, honestly. And the thing is we were just talking about how you had been transferred to a work camp and you were putting, toxic chemicals into bombs. And at 17 years old, where would one even begin? Did you even know what you were touching and that it could have been poisonous?
Not really. Not really. I mean, things were happening so rapidly that they were giving us this job, and as time went on, now let me put it in a more easily understandable way. As you may have heard that when we were in Auschwitz, they shaved our hair bald and all our body hair. And once that was done, they sprayed disinfectant on it. It was a horrendous appearance, the way we looked. It took a while until we recognized one another. Nevertheless, so by the time we are at this work camp, our hair started growing out into crew cut size. But the coloring has changed. It was now orange. And my face was lemon yellow. My lips were deep dark purple, which meant that the chemicals that I was working with at this factory started invading my body. But God was good to me that liberation came maybe a month or two after that, so otherwise I wouldn't have the pleasure of talking to you.
Well, and I want to talk about that liberation because you were basically marching towards your death, towards your final destination.
Yeah, if I briefly describe that part,
sure.
At the end of March, the Allies were approaching the area. So they evacuated the camp, and they put us what they call a death march. And we are on the road for like 3 days at this time, and we marched with a very thin spring coat and no stockings. It was bitter cold. That's why I tell my audience that I don't want to ever be cold, hungry, or thirsty again. So nevertheless, we are marching, and as I said, the Allies were nearing. And you know, when you are under these circumstances, you live in fantasy as well. So we approached a farm area, and we spotted a barn. And we decided, how would it be if during the night we tried to reach that barn and hide there? You see, our self-esteem was zero at this point. So what? They kill us, it will be all over. But God was good. We made about 20 of us hid in this barn. And the next morning, 2 young men were approaching. They wore a strange uniform, so, you know, it turned out to be 2 GIs from the 6th Armored Division, God bless them all, who were our liberators. And now
and the 2 men that liberated you, they were young as well. I mean, they were...
Correct. They were like 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they were crying as well as we were crying. Fortunately, there were some of us colleagues who spoke English, so the communication made it a little bit easier. So now once the captain from the group found 1,000 of us hidden all over the places, then they put us into a German village, and they asked the mayor to find us some housing. So now comes a different phase of life. How you interact with people who, quote unquote, is your enemy, right? Well, human nature is beautiful because I spoke German fluently. So when I got into the German house, the German family wasn't my enemy. They welcomed me. So I was myself, and I did not show hatred. Matter of fact, I tell the students when I speak, think very seriously before you hate. I'm not telling you to hate or not to hate, but at least think about why. Because all genocide stems from hatred. And I think that you follow that along current tragedies all over the world.
Well, that is great advice and one to take to heart. And I know over the years, and even fairly recently, you've gone back to those concentration camps.
Yes, I have.
You've visited them.
I was invited in April 15 to Buchenwald concentration camp's 73rd year of anniversary of liberation. It was the most moving moment of my life. 13 of us survivors came from about 8 different countries. Matter of fact, one gentleman who lives in Italy wore his authentic striped prison uniform to this gathering.
Wow.
And we were taken to the actual campsite, and what was very moving, where we were imprisoned, they built a little museum of our existence there. And I happen to know the curator. So the curator invites me to the event, to the museum, and he said, okay, now come into the conference room where we hold our programs for German students to hear about the Holocaust. You know, they have survivors, they have films, whatever. We walk into this conference room, and there is my teenage photo on the screen.
Wow.
They found it. So the reason I tell you this, every so often there are some Holocaust deniers, okay? So I invite them to go to Stadt Allendorf near Bardur, Germany, and they can see my authentic teenage photo with all the documents and my name on the wall of thousands Hungarian among 1,000 women. So
well, it's great that museum exists to really document that time. But I want to touch here briefly because we only have so much more time in the interview. Today we're talking about freeing yourself, and people can be in their own emotional state of imprisonment. You can be physically restricted. And when you think about freedom, what does that mean to you?
I say it in one sentence. Next to your health, the most important commodity you have is freedom. In all my presentations, I preach to the children freedom, freedom, freedom over and over again. You can have a ton of money, you can have a palace, you can have everything. If you don't have freedom, you have nothing.
Yeah, and you know, we live in such a polarizing environment right now. Unfortunately, there is a lot of hate, there is a lot of discrimination, but yet there's love. And because we live in this environment right now where people are picking sides and there's a lot of controversy, what do you have to say to those groups? I mean, someone could say, just quit, knock it off, you know, but people get very passionate about their state of minds. Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily what you asked me, but I have one comment about emigration. Let me explain how it feels to be welcomed by this beautiful country. Mm-hmm. Very briefly, while we were liberated, I met a chaplain who interviewed me, asked many questions, and one of the questions was, do you have any relatives anywhere around the world? And I said, yes, I have some uncles in America who emigrated in the early 1900s, and I said, I knew their name and Chicago. That chaplain, by mail, remember we are talking 1945 and not current high-tech life, by mail sent a letter to the Hebrew Immigrant Society in New York explaining my relatives' existence in Chicago. Some beautiful volunteer kept telephoning Chicago, found the relatives, and that's how we got connected. And after, by September of 1946, I landed in America. And I am a great promoter of welcoming immigrants because America is about the only country where this exists, and I hope it will continue that way. Because if you think about it, everybody's grandma or uncle or relative came from some other countries.
Well, and I get that. You know, the thing is, and you've lived it, but I too am a big fan of America and all that it stands for, and Lady Liberty and freedom. And I want to thank you so much, Magda, for being on today's show. You've really reminded us the importance of freedom.
That I was happy to be invited, and I thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you. And like I said, you have many friends here, and I wish you a great day, okay? And we'll be talking again soon.
I thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Bye. I'm always touched when I hear her stories, and I encourage all of you to check her out online. At 91 and a half years old, she is still sharing her story. In fact, she's Skyping. She's doing whatever she can to share the word. And we all want to think about today in our lives, where do we feel held back? Where do we feel stuck? And are those walls, are those fences real? And if they are, Well, let's figure out how we can get you over them, around them, break them down, whatever we have to do. And if they're not real, then we want to make sure that you're supported so that you can be motivated to get past this pain and the stress. And that's really important. So I want to make sure that you always know that you can reach out to us at livingfullout.com and get to the coaching or support that you need so that you can free yourself to live full out. Now, when we come back, we are going to be taking your questions. So if you have something on your mind and you're looking to get over that hurdle, this is the time to call on in. This is the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today it's all about freeing yourself, giving yourself this opportunity to move yourself forward, to laugh, to cry, to feel those emotions, but most of all, to be free. We'll be right back after this break.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're going to jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to one satisfied cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a lost cat magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care, people, for goodness sake. take.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
Always look within. In your core, there's going to be that passion, that desire to get out of your situation. Let that be your guide. Because when you have determination, when you have courage, and you keep stepping forward, you will be able to free yourself. But it starts with you and knowing that others are there to support you as well.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hey, it's been a great show, and honestly, one of the things that I think about when it comes to freedom or freeing ourselves is really identifying with what do we want. Because I know in my life there have been multiple times that I've been either in a relationship where I felt a little bit restricted, or maybe it was kind of in between jobs where I was a little bit losing hope, wondering if it was all going to work out, or even times with my eyes being legally blind, curious and scared as to what would my life look like if I fully couldn't see as I was losing my vision. And what I learned is that every time I put that negative energy in front of me, every time I let that self-talk take over in my head, it made me less powerful. And one of the things that you want to consider in your life is, are you giving your power away? Are you giving your power away to another person? Are you letting others tell you or dictate to you how you should live your life? Are you in an environment that maybe is not fruitful to where you want to be and who you want to be as a person? And so we have to start with those elements first. As we consider freeing ourselves, we have to see, what is it that is the restriction, the limitation, the burden that we face? And it's when you can identify what those are, now you can let them go. And sometimes letting them go is really hard. I remember when I had to start using my white cane. And I was not wanting to use it because I thought it would show that I was blind. I thought that it would prove to myself that I was losing my vision. And I didn't want to go there. I wanted to feel free. I wanted to feel as though I was still Nancy. So for a long time, I held off. I didn't do it. And then finally, certain friends of mine, they would come to me and say, Nancy, it's not for you. It's for us. It's so that other people can be notified that you can't see. That white cane alerts drivers and pedestrians and people to know that you are visually impaired, or in my case, legally blind. And so it really switched my thinking. I was allowed to step out of feeling nervous, scared, that I was going to be judged, or even the insecurities of losing my vision. I was able to let go of that. And rather, I looked at this white cane as a tool, as a resource, as a way for me to communicate with people without having to say anything. So we want to figure out in your life, what do you need to do? What changes might you need to make? What are you holding on to that is blocking you from being able to step forward? I get a lot of calls from different clients of mine who are stuck in relationships, partnerships, work-wise, or even intimate relationships where they feel like they're not being heard. They're not supported, but yet they stay. The thing is when you stay, you're not able to thrive. You're not able to laugh and be all that your personality is. So sometimes in life, we have to make the big call, a decision. Am I going to stay or am I going to go? And I know that sometimes when we take steps and we make big decisions, it can be scary because what if we lose it all? What if it doesn't work out? But if you allow yourself to stay in the place of the woulda, coulda, shouldas and the what ifs, you'll drive yourself bananas. And I say that. I love bananas, but you literally will take yourself to a place where you're going to get all fired up in a frenzy, and you don't want to go to that place. Consider the times in your life when you get all stressed out, full of anxiety, It's kind of like taking a soda can, right? We've all been there. You shake the can really, really aggressively, and then you pop that top. What happens? It explodes. So you want to make sure that you don't emotionally or physically explode. And that is by taking your power back rather than giving it away. Even when we look back at Magna Brown's story earlier in the show, the thing is she freed herself. She knew that she had the ability to fantasize of a better life and what it could look like. She didn't give up on it. She knew that it was possible. She stayed in that fantasy place. She also had the courage to not speak her mind so she would be punished, but also know that she wanted to be courageous, knowing that if she took a risk, just like running to that barn, that the payoff could be freedom. So what we want to consider in your life is, where can you be freed? What relationships might you need to let go of? What support or resources might you need to embrace? And I want you to start there. Most of all, as we round out the show today, Rome was not built in a day, right? Either was overcoming hurdles and getting over those obstacles. Start with today. Be in the here and now. Don't focus on the past. We can't get it back. Don't be afraid of the future, because it could be great. You want to get out of that gray zone, out of the I think, I might. You want to watch the words you say to yourself. You want to stay away from that negative self-talk in your head, the what ifs, the assuming things won't work out. Because you know what? They will, and they can. Just go out there, give life your all, and when you do, you will be living full out by freeing yourself. Thank you so much for listening today. Our entire Living Full Out family is dedicated each week to bringing you great guests and keeping you motivated. And most of all, I want you to make sure to go and listen to this show again. If you need that boost of motivation, go to livingfullout.com. Again, you can check us out on Alexa, go to the App Store. And most of all, here's to you, Living Full Out, as you step forward to free yourself and live your life in a big way. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, Living Full Out.